Cheryl Lawson, and I am originally from Tulsa and moved away. I was the wayward one in the family that, just had to get out of Tulsa when I graduated high school. And what's funny, I tell people now when I see young kids and high school students tweeting about how there's nothing to do in Tulsa, that would have totally been me when I was in high school. But now as an adult, looking at how cool Tulsa is from a different perspective, I'm like, what do you mean? There's all kinds of stuff to do. So I get when the kids are tweeting, but hey, I have a different perspective. But I moved back here shortly after my dad passed away so that my mom wouldn't be here by herself. But I was in Southern California and was part of kind of the social media community there. And when I looked for it here in Tulsa, I didn't see it. So I started it. And it was really just an opportunity for me to find other geeks like me. Right? Just who else is, being tasked with these same tools that might be able to network and interact with somebody like me, and we maybe not look at our phones the whole time. And I think Aaron's a member of our meetup group. I think Nicole joined maybe early on too. And so we started as just a meetup group. So some of you may be using Meetup and other tools like that to get people to meet you and to come to different events. So that's kind of how we started. And one of the things that happened is people started coming to the group wanting to learn. So there was a good balance of people who knew about social media and a lot of people who wanted to learn. So our meetups became a little bit more educational, but what I found was that people at our meetups were, phone to phone, tablet to tablet. Hey, how did you do this? And so I said, okay, meetups are now just social events so that we can connect people with one another. And then the conference was born. So now every March we do an annual social media, it's called SM Tulsa Social Business Conference, because we talk a lot about social media, but we talk more about how to be a social business. And as a nonprofit, you're one of those, you're tasked with being a social business. And it's great to hear the topics that both Aaron and Nicole talked about, because we have a speaker talking about all of those things this year. So I'm really, really impressed with that we're all on the same page. So again, so Social Media Tulsa is our group, and we've grown to do social media for different companies here locally. We do a lot of social media live events for big events that you may attend or have heard of here. We do the social media for the Route 66 Marathon. We have for the past, I think, 4 or 5 years. And we did social media for the Center of the Universe Festival. Scott Fest last year, we did that for the first time. And after last night, it looks like we'll be back again. And so there's a skill set. And of course, we have a team doing social media for our own conference and sharing things live during the conference. The first couple of years, it was me doing all of it, and it was insanity. So if you are going to do events, do not try to also do the social at your events. Take it from someone who has tried. So you know what? Let's see if we can get that. Can we make that a present? Can you click on it to make it a presentation? If not, it's okay.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Let's see.
Try to view.
If you go to view,
Full screen.
Presentation.
Full screen or presentation?
Oh, well, it wasn't full screen.
Try presentation.
It was both full screen.
Yeah.
About halfway
Yeah.
down.
There we go.
Oh,
Okay.
there we go. All right. So I know Aaron has seen this slide before because I say it every year at the beginning of our conference. Please do not turn off your cell phones when you come to an event, and don't do meetings and events where you ask people to turn off their cell phones. Because one of the benefits of social media is the reach is far beyond the people in the room. So as people who do events and fundraisers, you want people to elevate your message beyond the number of people in the room. So that's hashtagging. That hashtag SM Tulsa is our hashtag, but create a way for people to elevate your message. So the other thing I like to say is you don't have to be a social media expert to be an expert who uses social media. And I think that's where a lot of people find a disconnect, right? It's like, I can't possibly spend, my time on all of these networks. Well, no, you don't have to. But what you do have are the assets within your company, within your organization, that make you the expert and the resource at what you do, and then use these tools, right? It's just like any other traditional marketing. These are tools that you can use to show your expertise, to show your community, show the people who are involved and engaged in what you do. So I got questions in an email, so I thought I would just address some of those in a few slides, and hopefully that'll maybe spark some questions for you, and maybe, or maybe not. So the topic was identifying and selecting the right social media channels for your organization. So I decided to show you one way to do that. And one way is to find out a little bit more about each of the channels. And you can, this is user data. So I'm not going to read each of these, but 1.4 billion daily active users on Facebook. I don't care what your demographic is, they're probably amongst these folks. Okay? And that was just one, that was a daily in December. But then even actively, monthly, 1.5 billion people are accessing Facebook on a daily basis, or on a monthly basis, right? So, while you may not care for Facebook personally, or you may have experiences that you don't spend a lot of time on there, as marketers and as people who need to reach people, it's pretty undeniable that you need to be there. And you can always go to facebook.com or blog.facebook.com to dig deeper into their statistics to match your audience. Instagram. So those of you who are in love with photos and selfies, I know there's tons of you. So look at 400 million monthly users. And most of those are outside of the U.S. So if you have a global reach, or maybe even partners in other countries, Instagram is probably one of the places that you will want to access. 3.5 billion likes on Facebook daily. So that little heart symbol that you're clicking, people are really engaged in those things. So especially for those of you who have managers and bosses who are looking for return on investment, ROI, business cases as to why you're doing these things, you have access to, and this came from Instagram's blog, and it's they're on Tumblr and Instagram, but you can get to most of them at blog.instagram.com and all of the subjects. So most of the photo sharing that you're doing, you can do it from your events, from your fundraisers, in the office. I love, the hashtag Throwback Thursday or Flashback Friday, because everyone here has some history, whether it's, from last week or last year or in the last century or decade. So Snapchat is relatively new. How many of you are using Snapchat? 2 people using Snapchat. Okay, so these might be some interesting statistics and numbers for you. So Snapchat is the best way to reach 13-year-olds to 34-year-olds. And, more than 60% of the U.S. Of 13 to 34-year-olds use a smartphone, who use smartphones are Snapchatters. Right? People who are using that particular app. And we created a little diagram to help people figure out Instagram, right? So you can follow people on Instagram, and we can create stories, and they're really fun short-form videos. 7 billion video views on Instagram. So it's not just, hey, these kids are, sending crazy photos. There's real business happening on Snapchat. Mm-hmm. So think about over 100 million active daily Snapchatters and still growing. So a lot of brands have gone to Snapchat to utilize their short-form video and photo tools. Twitter, 320 million monthly users. How many of you are using Twitter? A few more. Okay. 80% of them on mobile. So there's probably a trend developing there. YouTube, again, it's still the monster content place, right? People are viewing millions upon billions of YouTube videos on a daily basis. So the last time I looked, YouTube was the #2 search engine in the country behind Google. So people are going to YouTube searching, how do I do such and such, right? And hey, guess what? If you have a video there, or how do I get involved? How do I donate to a homeless shelter? Where is the homeless shelter near me? Where can I donate clothes? Think about the search terms that people are using just in general. And as opposed to, we are XYZ company, think about answering the questions that people may use on Google and on YouTube. So the numbers are growing, and number of people creating YouTube channels are growing. So you're probably going to be best served if you have video content to check out YouTube. And then there's live video streaming, which is what I'm doing here. So I'm using Periscope, but there's also Facebook Live and Vine, which for short form. You can also do some video on Instagram too, but from a live streaming standpoint, that's pretty huge. If you have something going on in your office, or you have a manager or a guest speaker come in and you want to capture that to then spread that across your other channels. I don't think Facebook Live is available for everybody. They just started rolling it out on Android, and so it's probably going to take a little bit of time to get to everyone, but huge tool for marketers and those of us who need to reach people. So selecting and managing and sharing content effectively. So that's a loaded question, right? So my answer is keep calm and be platform agnostic. So I talked about a lot of individual platforms, but think about your content I'm going to create a blog post or a microblog, which is a tweet or something on Tumblr, short form video, long form video. So think about your content in terms of what you're going to create, as opposed to where you're going to put it. And so if you're going to do short form video, then it can go in multiple places, right? Vine, Instagram. You can even do short form on YouTube. If you're doing more long form video, something more than a minute or 2 minutes, then that's probably better to upload to your Facebook page and then YouTube. So start thinking in terms of the types of white papers Nicole mentioned. All of that smart stuff that you have in PDF forms, those can become great white papers to share with people, case studies, and even you can go in and take out tweetable moments or images from those old newsletters and PDFs. So think in terms of the pieces of content that you have available to you, and then you can go back and figure out, will this fit on Twitter? Would this work on YouTube? Will this work on Instagram? Because as we know, things change in the social space. Something new will come along, and you'll just not be happy about it. Okay, tools and resources available to help you manage social strategies and contents, because I see a few of you are ready to be this guy. So, so you don't have to worry about knowing everything right away. Focus on the thing on one thing, on one platform. If you find Facebook, go rock your Facebook page out. Don't try to be like us, where we have to be everywhere. It's our job to be everywhere and to research every social network. But as an organization, get your Facebook page to where it's rocking, your community is there, you've got a standard, people know when to expect content from you, and then move on to YouTube or Twitter or Instagram, right? So set a calendar for not only your content, but where you want to go next. And then lastly, you can join us at our conference, shameless plug, March 31st to April 1st. We have 25 speakers now. Several of them will be talking about nonprofit specific things. Mark Horvath, who is really huge in the homeless, his whole mission is to end homelessness. He has an organization called InvisiblePeople.tv, where he travels and interviews and talks to homeless people, and then shares their stories on YouTube. And there's actually a documentary about Mark and his travels and his work, and we'll actually be screening that documentary during the week of the conference. So it'll be great. We have a topic, creating content when you don't have a content team. So those are the challenges that most of us have when we're either entrepreneurs or in nonprofit. We have somebody talking about social justice and how to use social media for social justice. A lot of hot topics now about how do you make social change. So Mark Lewis, who was the Tulsan of the Year, is going to be talking about that from We the People Oklahoma. And the social media person from Southwest Airlines will be with us. And the social media person from the University of Oklahoma will be talking about crisis management in social media. So we do have a nonprofit discount, so go to the website and do that. But we have you covered. You don't have to do it all yourself. All right, that's all I have. That's all. I promise. That's all. And now I'm gonna go to sleep. No.
Yes, you can take a little nap.
Yes.
Well, now I just open it up for questions. I've got a few, but go ahead.
Erin, can you talk about what social media channels you all have?
Mhm.
What you mentioned?
Yeah, so I love social media. I'd love to be on everything. I unfortunately don't have that kind of time. I actually stopped Snapchatting because it was life sucking. So I have to kind of tell myself that sometimes, like, you've got to stop somewhere. But Facebook has been the most successful for us. And then we do have a YouTube, of course, and Instagram. Twitter is our fourth most successful, just because you have to be constantly pushing out content. And as a team of one, that's not always the easiest to do for us. During events and stuff, we will tweet, especially our polo event to media and things like that. We'll use it, but mainly I focus on Instagram and Facebook, just because they work better for us and what we do. Very visual. So.
Nicole, what kind of analytics tools are you using to report engagement and results? That I'm assuming your leadership has said we've made this investment, and how do we report?
Very much so. For the most part, I use the ones like the back ends of the tools. So the ad or ads.twitter.com, and I use the the back end of Facebook for those analytics. And then I for our websites, I use Google Analytics, and that really gives us enough robust content to drill down and give our leadership what they need. I guess I might add one other thing, Cheryl, for another thought I had. When you talk about Periscope and Facebook Live, especially if you do any kind of media training with your folks, or talk about the media, or get people ready to talk about the media, I always mention that people should be acting like they're being videotaped all the time, especially if you're going into a setting where you're about to be, say, on a press conference. So you're ready, your people are getting ready to come up to the podium. All someone needs is an iPhone to make you live to the entire World Wide Web. So sometimes there are all kinds of clips out there of people just not realizing that they were on camera and maybe saying something off color, or just not speaking in a way that they would if they realized they were being videotaped. So if you're doing any kind of things like that with your groups, I think that's a good reminder that people have these devices all the time, and so not only can they record you for posterity, but they can be recording you and streaming you to the world. Not too scared.
But everybody is a
Yeah.
publication, right?
Right.
Everybody is a publication.
So this would be for all three of you. Talking about analytics, do you set goals or keep an eye on likes, shares, followers? How do you estimate what's a good? We grew by X percentage this week or this month or this year over year. How do you figure what's a good number to look for in whatever platform you like?
Yeah, I want to spend more on quality than quantity. I want people who, I don't want just a where I see the value as far as our organization is concerned. When I started at the center 3 years ago, we didn't have a following. So the fact that I can post something and in 5 minutes I've already hit, I got 1 like a minute. That means people are watching. That means people know that we're doing something and they're paying attention. Shares for me are huge. I want more eyes on my content. So the more shares I get, I feel like, oh, well, this content was great. I'll be able to use this later down the line. So for me, it's more about how many people have seen what I've posted and engaged. So engagement is my big parameter.
I guess ours are a little bit different. I mean, we certainly look at engagement, and that's a big thing as well. For us and just the breadth of channels we have with the different projects that we have, I mean, it's also about your following consistently increasing when it needs to be, when you're putting resources and content and maybe some ad dollars behind that, making sure that you're growing in a way that's reaching the people you want to reach. And so especially when you're coming into maybe a state you haven't operated in before, for us, so it's a little bit different. You're making sure that you're getting in front of the people that you want to be hearing your messages.
Yeah, I mean, I would say a like is worth nothing. It's worth nothing if that person isn't engaging with your content. So yeah, it could be worth more. I would say 100 highly engaged followers who dig you and support what you do is far better than 1 million people who just sit there. So yeah, if you're doing campaign or you're doing something like Nicole says, going into a new area, or you're ramping up for a particular event like we're doing, so I'm kind of looking at engagement as well as whether or not that more people are coming to the page. But I totally don't focus on the number, because when you do that, you're taking your eye off of what's most important. And are these people the people who will engage, and can I move them to where I need them to go, whether it's coming to an event or hitting the donate button or telling their friends by sharing or liking, so that it elevates, again, the message that we're trying to put out there. So focus on the people who dig you, and they'll get you the next people. Right?
I have a question about Instagram. Whoever wants to answer. We've had a Facebook page up now for quite some time, but Instagram I know very little about, and I know that Facebook owns Instagram. When you sign up, and we're getting ready to sign up for Instagram for our nonprofit, does it have the same options available in terms of signing up as you do in Facebook? For example, on Facebook, if you sign up as a nonprofit, there's categories among nonprofits that it picks from, or do you just sign up as a nonprofit and that's it?
You just make your name fit where it's first and last, where your user handle is. So mine's under my name, like my name is attached to the account, but our handle is the Center Tulsa. So if they were to go in and look, into all the information, it'd be my contact as the director of community relations for this organization. So you cannot choose, your industry or anything like that. It is not all that way. It's extremely quick, simple, name, email address, what do you want your handle to be, and go. Your privacy settings, and go. And that's your only options. The way you kind of get yourself in the area you want to be in is through hashtagging a lot of topics. So for me, when I share a post, a lot of our I always do inspiration. We want our members to be seen as inspiration because they're overcoming their disabilities. So I use a lot of hashtag inspiration, hashtag inspired, and hashtag all those sorts of things, ability, disability, all those things, and that's how I've kind of got us in that sphere of where people know to watch us for those kind of posts, because then that gets you in front of that audience who's looking for those types of posts. So that's my 2 cents. Did I say that right?
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, the answer to the question is no. You can't be real specific about what type of business you are. You just kind of go in, create an account, very similar to Twitter.
Yeah.
You just go get your handle and start posting.
And I will tell you, the Center for Individuals with Physical Challenges does not work as a handle.
Yeah, you only have so much.
You gotta shorten that. So.
The other thing you can do to kind of customize what your Instagram feed is doing for your audience is, if you're pivoting and doing something different, you can change the URL, the link that's in your profile. So you might say, link in profile, and you might today I shared a post about Midstream 101 and gas gathering, so everybody rush out and read that. But I have a great picture of some infrastructure, so probably tomorrow morning I'll share that because it's just a great photo and those do well on Instagram. So tomorrow I will change the link that's in our Instagram account from, we usually focus it on careers and recruiting, so change it from the link that relates to that to our blog for a couple of days and refer in the post to that link.
Yeah, it's
Well,
like
and the other reason to do that is because you cannot click on a link in
your post.
the description of your photo through
Does not work.
So if you are trying to send people to a different link, then refer them back to your profile and just change that link as often as you need to.
The lingo for that usually is link in bio.
Right.
I mean, everyone knows where to go to find that. So like for Giving Tuesday, the first year we kind of did an event around that. We changed our whole structure of how we were doing our year-end giving, and we decided to focus on Giving Tuesday. Well, I was posting all these posts on Instagram, but I can't put the donate link right in that post. I may have Terrell's handsome face dribbling a basketball and say, that might inspire someone to give, but they have to go back to my bio to click that, or not my bio, the center's bio to click that link to donate. So for, the month of December, a few days before and a few days after, it was our Giving Tuesday specific donate page link, and then it just goes back to our general link. But you can change that at any time, however many times you want to change it.
Great.
Yeah.
Since you brought up hashtags, and as a somewhat neophyte to all of this, can you talk about hashtags a little bit for those of us that maybe are not?
Can you tell us what organization you're with?
Well, Erin thinks she has a difficult name to put on.
It's true. You're right.
Tulsa Advocates for the Rights of Citizens with Developmental Disabilities.
Yes.
All right, try putting that in there.
Yeah, hashtag yeah.
That's funny.
Unfortunately, we go by TARC, which is an old acronym that now does not stand for anything.
Okay.
But that is basically our organization.
Yeah, it's just like how everyone
too.
calls us the center.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, gotta shorten it. As far as hashtags go, it's basically just categorizing your posts. That's what the pound sign. My dad always says. I always used to tell my dad, "What did I say? Hashtag rude, Dad," when I was younger, and he thought it was the pound sign. So he looks at me one day and said, "Pound rude, Aaron," and I was like,
Well, I go back even further. It used to be the number sign.
"Yeah." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Oh, you're trying to be hip. Got it. Like, cool. So that's what the number sign, and it creates a clickable link, which will take you to all the other posts that have been tagged in that same category. So
But only in that platform.
in that platform, yes, exactly. Now you can search hashtags and find a lot of other things, but that's a whole other separate conversation. So as far as categorizing, so like for me, on Giving Tuesday, obviously I'm going to hashtag Giving Tuesday. So I would click, if I clicked on that link in Instagram, if I hit go to that, it would take me to all the other organizations and every other individual who has used hashtag Giving Tuesday. So I can look at what all the other organizations are doing. Am I being competitive? Are we even getting eyes on our posts? So those are types of things that we use hashtags for. I use them in every platform that's been successful for us, especially because we have a descriptive name, but it really doesn't say what we do. So hashtagging our services has really helped as far as like fitness, art, those types of things, so that we come up on those people's radar. Because just hashtagging our name or disability is really not going to be as clear as I post this adorable picture of Bradley with his art, and then I hashtag the art in that caption, if you see what I'm saying. So it's a really great way to get your eyes on content outside of those who are liking or following you.
I would add, so think about each social network as its own country.
Mm-hmm.
It has its own language. People like to do certain things there. People don't like certain things there. Right? You don't want to come off as a tourist. So when we talk about hashtags specifically,
You can go nuts.
so the hashtag is something that has been around forever as a category for web developers and people who are really geeky. It was a way to categorize things. So think about them as folders on your desktop in different categories, and that's how you separate conversations. But on Facebook, people who live in Facebook land, not so crazy about hashtags. You can still use them there, but be careful. One, maybe two at the most, only for your searchable uses, right? So you can click on the hashtag and search people who are using your hashtag, but be careful because you will look like a tourist if you use as many hashtags on Facebook.
Which is why you can't necessarily copy content and use it on every single platform.
Correct.
You have to adjust it for
Absolutely. Now, the hashtag was born on Twitter, right? Given new life on Twitter.
Yeah.
But on Twitter, only use 3, right? Because then you'll look like you're not sure what's happening in Twitter land, right? You know, if you do 4, you're going to get the side eye. 5 or 6, people know you don't know what's going on. You're trying to do Instagram on Twitter.
Yep.
Am I wrong? I mean,
No, you're right.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm like,
It
okay.
happens all the time.
Yeah.
I see with my dance students. You know, they'll cross post from their Instagram. It will automatically go through their Twitter, and it is just a line of hashtags. And I'm like, guys, you said absolutely nothing. Like, thank you for wasting 140K. You know,
Now,
characters of my life.
On Instagram, hashtag to your heart's
Oh,
content.
hashtag now. That's where you can put all your hashtags. You can put
Hashtag
anywhere else.
all you want.
Just save them all and
Yeah.
just do them in an Instagram.
Absolutely.
But also know that sometimes not only is hashtagging used, but especially on Twitter, not only is it used for searching, categorizing, but it's also used for commentary.
Absolutely.
So someone may say something that hashtag rude, or
Think about the Oscars.
Yeah.
Commentary.
Yep.
so there's a whole bunch of commentary that can come with those tweets, especially. So be extra careful when you're sharing, making sure that those are
Yeah.
hashtags you want to share, and they're not. They
And
weren't
check
meant sarcastically.
to see if the hashtag that you're using
Yes.
is being used by someone else in a completely different context.
Exactly right.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was going to ask and sort of clarify is when you use generic hashtags like disability or whatever,
Right.
and somebody clicks on that, you get a whole bunch of stuff that might not have anything to do with
Absolutely.
That's exactly right.
your whatever you're trying to
That's
to
exactly
tag
right. Yeah, you
about,
have
so.
to be careful with that. I mean, it's like I've seen my I'll go back to my dance students misuse. They thought it meant one thing and it meant a totally different thing, and I've had to been like, you need to not post that.
Well, and even in a worst case scenario, you link to something that's an anthem that is completely opposite or
Of what
terrible
you
of
do.
what you're. But even in a best case scenario, you're just confusing people. You're linking them to something that they're like, I don't even understand why.
Right.
So, would you suggest, in addition to sort of a go-to set of hashtags, you got to come up with a unique one. I mean, you have to come up with one that only talks about you to the best of your ability.
Which you use a lot with events. So, like our polo event, hashtag Center Polo Classic is what we use, and then everyone hashtags their photos on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever they are, and then I see all of those, and then everyone, that's the perfect example. You definitely want that.
Do
But
those
also-
hashtags eat into your character count?
Yes. Which is why you don't use a ton on Twitter.
Right.
Just
And
don't.
I'd say also, but if you monitor your conversation, like if you look at how people are talking about you in the different platforms, you might see different hashtags emerge that you didn't originate.
That's right.
But if that's what's carrying the conversation and it's positive and it's a message you want to share, then you should start sharing those too. So finding a way to monitor those conversations and see how people are talking about your events and talking about your organization, you might find some more natural language that you can then weave into your content.
Yeah. And I get a lot of that, sorry, from our members. So I know that it's not going to be something, so like Sean Lewis, for instance, he always hashtags ability, not disability. That's a long one, so I only use that one if I'm going to use it in my post. But those types of things, and then I can see if other individuals who are experiencing disability, who have a disability, are using those, and I know they're not going to be anything controversial. So
there's a couple of analytics tools to check hashtags. I use Hootsuite a lot, hootsuite.com, HOOT suite.com, and tweetreach app, I think is the .com, will tell you how far your hashtag is reaching, and then the top people who are using the hashtag.
Right.
So you can start to find your top contributors using those tools. Tweetable is another one. And a couple of those have added Instagram to their analytics tools. So you can start to look at who your top sharers are, who the people are engaging with your hashtag. Like Nicole said, are there some hashtags being created around what you do or your event that you didn't really plan, but you're okay with, and you want to start? Of course, at our conference, we hashtag everything, so it's really hard to see what what's happening. But I'll give one example of something that we did last year that we'll probably do again just because it was so successful. We have some giveaways and things during our conference that we want people to tweet to win, right? You can even be hashtag tweet to win. And so we asked people to add Tulsa, hashtag, add Tulsa to a movie. So it was like Gone with the Wind in Tulsa, or, what was some of the other ones? I can't even think of it. So anyway, you had to add the name Tulsa to an existing movie. And what we saw was not only were people trying to win the little Chromecast that we had to give away at the conference, but people outside of our conference got in on the hashtag. And we had some really fun, add Tulsa to a movie hashtags. And so we'll probably do that again with maybe a bit of a twist to it. But those are the kinds of things that you can have fun with. You can create it uniquely, and then it's, you don't use it again until it happens again. Like I saw the hashtag SM Tulsa After Hours, and when I'm sitting in my bed at 1 o'clock after the conference, and I'm thinking, okay, that is not an approved hashtag for SM Tulsa After Hours is not the official, but people are going to hashtag their mood, their whatever they're doing, and you can either stress about it or have fun and move on. But you can start to create your own hashtags. I like to say he who owns the domain owns the hashtag. You can't really trademark a hashtag, but we own smtulsa.com. So the likelihood that if somebody's searching for the hashtag that we created, they're going to find us. And so those are things that you might want to consider when you're creating your hashtag. Is the domain also available, or does this hashtag point to some domain that is completely different from our purpose? Right?
I have a question, I think, for everybody, and it's like beginner, way back here kind of question. But so I'm with Palmer Continuum of Care, and our administrative staff is 4: executive director, myself, 1 HR, 1 finance. So I usually just post and then cross my fingers, wish for the best. But as far as Facebook goes, that's what I do. And whenever I started a year ago, we had like 130 people liking us, and now we have like 330 because I have friends, and that's about it. So I get
That's what you have to do.
how do we get more people on our page? I asked this before, and we've asked our board, share, like, all that kind of stuff. Our board isn't, about half of our board is involved in Facebook. And I went, and some of the suggestions were to go and like other pages. So I like every page that's in Tulsa as Palmer, but I'm still not seeing the growth there. So I wasn't even sure. I know that you mentioned paying that extra $20 may be worth it. Do we use hashtags to try to get us LinkedIn things, or how do you even? And I tell everybody it's on our newsletter. I just tell everybody. Everybody here, please like us on.
You can also, you could pay some money to promote your posts, and that will get them some reach, but you can also pay to promote your page. And I guess I kind of ask you a few questions, like, what do you want to do on Facebook? Are you trying to just get the word out about the organization? Do you want to reach people who can donate? Do you want to reach potential clients? All of the above?
All the above.
So then, maybe doing some targeted page promotion on Facebook, spending some money to get people to like your page. And you can really dial those very specifically. You can pick men and women ages 18 to 24, or, and different keywords in their profile or different things that they like. You can really dial that pretty specifically. And it might take, for your audience and for your needs, that actually might take some fine-tuning. So, spending a little bit of money and seeing how it goes, and then spending a little bit of money with some different demographics and seeing how that goes could be really useful for you.
And a little bit of money in the social space is like, $20, $50, $100 is a lot of people seeing your content. So it's not, television, radio type money. Yeah, right? It's, you can get, your dollar can stretch a long way.
When you say advertising, you're saying boost? Is that
I'm saying two things. I'm saying boost content, like, so promoting your post, but also you can promote your page. So
Or
that
even your event.
or even your event, or, so those sorts of paid promotions as well.
And those would just show up randomly on either on the sides of people's Facebook feed, or they would show up as a promoted post on their page. It's not necessarily you're promoting one specific post. You're just getting your name, your page, your general information promoted.
And when you're boosting a particular post, I would just urge you not to just hit boost and then say $20.
Yeah, no.
Go in and say, and because Facebook allows you to have something called custom audiences. And so you can actually choose Tulsa. I think for some of them you can even get zip code specific if you need to. So you can go, 74103 and then choose interests of those people. Men, women, age groups. So you can even kind of A/B test. Let's do an ad. Let's spend $20 on women between the ages of 18 and 34 in Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Norman, Edmond, right? And who have an interest in this particular topic or subject matter, and you can get really serious, who have more than one credit card, because Facebook and Twitter allow you to target financial stuff, right? People who are prone to shop online. You can dig as deep into the rabbit hole as you want to get really specific. That also gets the number of reach smaller. And it's not always, you don't necessarily always want to have your ad will reach 3 million people. Sometimes you only want your ad to reach the people who are going to go, yes. Right? So think about who your audience is. If you haven't talked in your organization about who your target audiences are or what your audience personas are, that might be a conversation to have before you start setting advertising audience targets. And then once you have those archetypes, then hey, let's spend $20 and see what this gives us, or $50. The other thing I would say is the Facebook event is the secret weapon, because all of the stuff that Facebook doesn't allow you to see because of the algorithm. If somebody clicks that they're going to or interested in your event, you've seen them in your page. Cheryl is interested in basket weaving 101, right? Like, why am I seeing this? Well, because we're friends, and what I'm interested in, Facebook will let you see where I might be going, and if 2 of your friends are going, then it's going to be a huge deal. But the other thing is, everybody who says they're going to your event sees every post that you post in that event. That Facebook doesn't, you only see 1 or 2. So think about using events, and people can subscribe to your events so that they get every time you post something else that's going to happen. So, and then you can boost those events if those things, if you're going to have them on a regular basis, or you want to get people to come to an event. So that's kind of the secret sauce from Facebook, and the way to get around the dreaded algorithm. Oh, you have a question.
Oh no, I'm just standing up because we're about out of time here. I just want to thank our panelists. Give them a little round of applause. Thank you for coming today. And so it's 5 o'clock, so we'll call an end. So thank you everybody for coming. And when's our next meeting, Brent?
Our next meeting is June 16th. We'll get information out to you on the Facebook page and via an email from me. And we'll be focusing on creativity and storytelling. And again, these topics are based on feedback you gave us last year.
If you're not part of our Facebook group, let me know, and we'll get you in there.
We didn't even talk about Facebook.
Yeah, I mean,
I could go on. Let's start a group.
We may have to have social media part 2.
I know, we may.
Or